What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Again, we got another scary good matchup here for you on Halloween, previewing the game in Athens, Georgia. We talked about a big one in the SEC West between Alabama and LSU. Highly suggest you go test that or watch that video. But Georgia and Missouri. We got the Bulldogs, we got the Tigers taking place in Sanford Stadium. Again, we talked about the big one in the SEC West. This is the big one in the SEC East. A lot is on the table here. Both Georgia and Missouri not only still alive for the SEC championship game, which this game is going to go a long way in deciding, but also potentially for a spot in the college football playoff. A lot on the line in Athens. It's going to be a fun one from Sanford Stadium. We're going to dive into it just a little bit, but hey, just a quick thank you for all the support the channel has seen. You guys know how you can support me by now. In case you don't, like, comment, share. Subscribing is a really big way. In fact, the biggest way to help support me as well as ringing the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. And just by watching this video, you're helping to support the channel. So anything you may be willing and or able to do to help support the channel, hey, it would mean a lot to me if you'd be able to do so. But enough about me, and now that that's out of the way, let's talk about yet another scary good matchup. As happy Halloween to everyone out there. I am recording this on All Hallows Eve. Let's go ahead and talk about this one. Missouri and Georgia. This is going to be a fun one here from Athens. Let's dive on into it. Let's talk about the stats that both these teams have put up so far this season. We will start with the Missouri Tigers. Now, offensively, there is no better way to quantify what this Missouri offense is able to do than talking about the connection between Brady Cook and Luther Burden. One of the best quarterback to wide receiver combinations in the nation this season. 2,259 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions from Brady Cook. He hasn't really looked like himself the past couple of games, but in a big spot, in a big moment like this, I do expect there to be some improved play from that of Brady Cook. And then also when you take a look at Luther Burden, hey, 6 of those 15 touchdowns have gone to Burden, 905 yards on 61 catches. He is one of the best wide receivers in college football. He is elite. He's really, really good. He is the heart and soul of this offense to go along with Brady Cook. Now, again, Cook has not played his best games over the past couple of weeks, so I do expect Brady Cook, Luther Burden to, especially against the Georgia defense that's really good, have their struggles, but I do expect them to find a little bit of a better rhythm than they've been able to do the past couple of weeks. They do have a solid run game as well, led by Cody Schrader. You also have Nathaniel Pete that's back there as well. Pretty good third down conversions. They don't really turn the football over, and yeah, they could do a better job in pass protection, but when you have a connection like Brady Cook to Luther Burden, there's not a whole lot much more that you need to say. Let's talk about the defense for Missouri that statistically has not been that bad this year at all. However, there have been times this year where this is a Missouri defense that lets up a lot of yards and a lot of points, aka the LSU game that currently is Missouri's only blemish on their record. 23 points per game, 338 yards per game here for the Missouri Tigers. 36.8 conversion percentage allowed on third down. That's not a bad number at all. You forced 8 turnovers this year. That's a turnover per game. You're definitely going to need 2 or 3 here, it feels like, on the road in Athens Stadium to be able to pull this one out. And 24 sacks this year. That's one of the strong suits of this Tiger defense. They're really able to get back to the quarterback. A lot of great pass rushers up front. 3 sacks per game is a very, very good number for Missouri, who have been not only one of the surprise teams in the SEC, but one of the surprise teams across the nation as well. Definitely a team that I highly underestimated coming into this year, and Missouri has got a lot to play for here in this game. Technically still alive to get to the college football playoff, and if they win this one, you're going to get a lot more respect put on your name from those people that haven't put as much respect on your name as they should have. I think Missouri is a very, very good team, and this is a team fully capable of going toe-to-toe with the #1 team in the country if everything clicks and if everything goes well. However, you take a look at this Georgia side, and while there has been a lot of talk and a lot of conversation on Georgia is not Georgia, this is just not the team that we've seen win a national title over the past couple of seasons, the offense is still efficient, and we're going to talk more about that later, but Carson Beck has still been a really decent option at quarterback. 2,462 yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on 73% completion. Still got a pretty solid run game with Dejan Edwards, Kendall Milton, a lot of other guys carrying the rock for Georgia this year as well. They have one of the best third down conversion percentages in the entire country, and they're one of the best offensive lines in the entire country, despite early struggles earlier on this season. They've only allowed 6 sacks so far this year. That is one of the best marks in the entire country. This is an offense that does have turnover problems at times, but it has started to look like the dynamic Georgia offense that we have seen over the past couple of seasons. You look at recent performances against Kentucky, and most recently in that game in Jacksonville against the Florida Gators. This is a Georgia offense that is absolutely rolling, is clicking really, really well, even without their star tight end Brock Bowers, which they will still be without him in this game. Could prove to be a big key if Missouri's defense is able to slow down whatever Georgia is able to do. That's a really interesting matchup between Missouri's defensive line and Georgia's offensive line. Can't wait to watch how that one plays out. Let's talk about this Georgia defense. This is the part of the team that a lot of people are saying it's just not the same. It's just not as physical. It doesn't have as much star power, yada, yada, yada. However, statistically, when you take a look, this is the defense that's still really, really good. It's one of the best rush defenses in the country, so that Brady Cook to Luther Burden connection is going to have to be really, really lethal, because if you're going to plan to win a game on Georgia just by running the ball, you're nuts. You're crazy. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. They're one of the best third down defenses in the entire country. They do a pretty decent job at forcing turnovers. The one thing with Georgia's defense that, yes, where people have a point to where it's not as good as last year is its sack production. The pass rush is just not what it's been in the past couple of seasons. However, this is the Georgia defense that is still getting things done. And as long as it's still getting things done, as long as it's still winning games, I don't think people in Athens are going to have much to complain about. At least that's the way that I see it. The offense is still clicking. The defense has some really, really good moments, and it's a Georgia team that is really starting to round into form. Let's go ahead and take a look now at my what to watch for, your keys to the game, if you will. Just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you are watching this one. Let's talk about the Missouri Tigers first, as they are the road team. If the offensive line can hold for this Missouri Tiger team. Now, I know the pass rush with Georgia is not what it has been in years past. However, it's still the Georgia defensive line. It's going to be physical. It's going to absolutely manhandle the offensive line, especially one that has had both good but also bad moments this season. And especially if it has some bad moments here today, Georgia is going to make you pay. It's just the nature of this defense. But Cook and Burden, I think, are going to flourish either way, especially if this offensive line can hold. Missouri's going to be able to set the tone on the ground. Well, not necessarily set the tone, but they're going to be able to get some solid gains on the ground. And Brady Cook to Luther Burden, they're going to have their moments today, but you probably need to have more moments than usual because, again, this is a Georgia defense that it plays really good, really aggressive brand of football. Brady Cook to Luther Burden will be dynamic, and it will have to be more dynamic than usual in order to come away with a win here. This is a Missouri team as well that doesn't miss opportunities. If you turn the football over, Missouri's going to drive down the field and capitalize. If you make a mistake on the offensive line, if you run the wrong route, Missouri's going to make you pay. They're going to get to your quarterback with a sack, or they're going to force that turnover. And then again, off turnovers, they go capitalize on it. Georgia, I'm not saying Georgia can't make mistakes, but if Missouri is winning the turnover battle, is possessing the ball more than Georgia, if they're controlling the pace, if they're winning time of possession, that could lead to bad news bears for the Bulldogs, but this is a Missouri defense that's going to need its biggest showing yet this season. The pass rush is great, and the pass rush is going to have its moments to get home, but it's going to be really tricky to do against this Georgia offensive line. And again, this is the Georgia offense moving on into the Georgia keys now that, again, even though they don't have Brock Bowers, they've really started to find their rhythm as of late. They hung, I believe, 51 or 52 against Kentucky. You hung 43 against Florida, and even though you didn't play your best football, you still hung 37 points against the Vanderbilt Commodores. It's an offense that is starting to find their groove. It's an offense that's starting to be really efficient and really dynamic, and even though Brock Bowers is out, you still got playmakers all over this field, and Georgia showed that last week against the Florida Gators, really able to do virtually whatever they wanted against that Gator defense. The offense will be efficient. It will have good moments. It will score points, especially against a Missouri defense that just, again, has good moments and is able to force turnovers here and there, but often than not, it also does have some lapses to come along with every single drive, and that is going to lead Georgia to end up scoring some points. The defensive line is going to take over and dominate eventually. It's a Missouri offensive front that just hasn't shown me enough to be fully 100% confident they can hold back the power and aggressiveness of this Georgia defensive front. The Georgia secondary is going to have its good moments today. Yes, defending Luther Burden is a very, very tough challenge. I think the Georgia secondary is going to be up to the task. However, it will get beat at times, but the defensive line will take over and dominate eventually. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for this defensive line to settle in, but I think eventually it'll take over. It'll start getting to Brady Cook, and it'll start dominating this Missouri run game, not allowing them to do much of anything. But when you talk about the defense as a whole for the Georgia Bulldogs, the one, not necessarily complaint, but the one kind of like, hey, just letting you know, this is a defense that hasn't really played a super high-powered offense yet. Now, when you take a look at the back 4 games of the schedule, I mean, you got Missouri, you got Tennessee, you got Ole Miss, and then Georgia Tech. There's a lot of really good offenses back there. This is Georgia's really first big test, especially for this defense. It finally faces a high-octane, high-powered offense, and the Brady Cook to Luther Burden connection is lethal. And it's going to struggle in this game. Again, there are going to be moments where Missouri's going to hit some big plays, or it's going to find the gap, and it's going to take advantage of Georgia's mistakes. However, this is still Georgia we're talking about. Eventually, the physicality is going to show up. Eventually, Georgia is going to settle in. This offense, I think, is going to be too efficient all game long. And while I like Missouri to keep it a lot closer than the experts think, I think Georgia is going to have, yes, a scare here in this game. But I think Georgia makes a play on defense to pull away late. Their offense scores a late touchdown, gets this one out of reach for the Missouri Tigers, and I got Georgia winning this one 34-24. I do think this is going to be a really fun one from Athens, and I think win or lose, Missouri is going to gain a lot of respect from the college football world because they're going to show what they're made of. This is a really, really good team. I just think Georgia makes one too many good plays, and they pull away from the Tigers in this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with more videos. Goodbye.